Hi. Chapter 17 of Listen, Touch. Hot as it is, the rest of the way home, Charlie is aware of a chill up her back and along her shoulders. The cut on Coyote's nose is exactly the way she saw it. Did he really chase a pair of deer? Did he splash through a creek and leap at a deer who kicked him and got away? There is no doubt about the cut, about the blood on his nose. All this time, she's been imagining things about Coyote. She's had no way to be sure whether what she sees in her mind is real or not. She only knows how real it is felt. This is different. She saw that cut, saw it happen in her mind before she saw it with her eyes. She wants to tell someone about this, but who can she tell? Her father won't believe her. He used to complain about how long her mother encouraged her fantasies of fairies in the woods. The sooner she knows the difference between what's real and what's not, the better. This is real, though. It is. She could tell Sarita, but she has no idea what Sarita would think about it. Besides, Sarita might tell Charlie's father. At home, she feeds Coyote, wishing that she could put some sort of medicine on her nose, on his nose. The cut is crusting over, but it looks deep. It's possible that the fur won't grow back and he'll have a scar the rest of his life. It doesn't seem to bother him, though. He doesn't paw at it. He doesn't shake his head as if it hurts, or maybe he's had enough pain that he's used to it. Like Charlie and her leg. Charlie goes to her room to change her clothes, her mind still reeling. She strips off her jeans and t-shirt, checks for ticks, drapes the clothes over her chair to dry out, and sits on her bed in her underwear. She closes her eyes. Can she make an image of Coyote now? Of course. She can see him perfectly clearly in her mind, lying under the dogwood. But he always goes there after breakfast if Sadie isn't around. This isn't what she did in the Pine Grove. Charlie shifts to Sadie, lets a picture form in her mind of Sadie swimming across the lake, making splashes with her front paws. Clearly as she can see it, it isn't the same as the deer chasing either. She has seen Sadie do this so often that the image she's seen in her mind now is ordinary memory. Even if she were to go outside right this minute and find Sadie coming up out of the water and shaking herself, it wouldn't prove anything. Sadie swims over at this time of day a lot. In the Pine Grove, she was just playing with the images, drifting. She wasn't making a real effort to see what Coyote was doing. Does that make a difference? Now, it's like a test to see if she can do it again. Now there's something to prove. If Amy were here, Charlie thinks, and still her best friend, she could tell her. Amy would think it was cool. Weird, a little scary, but really, really cool. Charlie grins. Whether Amy would think that or not, she does. Definitely. Weird, a little scary, but really, really cool. The corner of her mother's book is sticking out from under the extra pillow. Her mother, that's who Charlie wants to tell about this. Colleen Morgan wouldn't refuse to believe her or tell her she's crazy, but Colleen Morgan isn't here and she will never be. Charlie pulls the book out and finds the page with the fairy ring. There, scattered in the moss and pine needles in the middle of the circle of mushrooms, are the same white stones that she saw today. Except for the mushrooms, the Pine Grove looks today the way it did when her mother was kneeling in it taking the picture. Looking at it makes Charlie's throat hurt. She turns the page. The next photo is of Eagle Lake, taken from the dam on a soft gray morning. Tendrils of silvery mist like whirlpools rising from the surface of the water. Quote, "The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes." From Marcel Proust. New eyes. Like when she looked across the Pine Grove and saw the strand of spiderweb. It occurred to her that her mother saw the lake and the woods around it differently than anyone else who lives there. What she saw, she captured, and then she sent the images out into the world for other people to share. The next page is a single white wildflower, incredibly close up, with 5 petals arranged around a spray of golden dots. There's nothing else in the picture, just the flower against a dark background, green but unfocused. Nobody sees a flower, really. It is so small, it takes time. We haven't time. And to see takes time, like to have a friend takes time. From Georgia O'Keeffe. And then there's the beaver again. Quote, "To understand any living thing, you must creep within and feel the beating of its heart." Is that what her mother could do? Did she connect with the animal's spirit to spirit? Is that why she never needed to make a blind to get her photographs? Charlie's throat is hurting again. She closes the book and puts it back. Then she gets dressed and goes outside. Sadie and Coyote are chasing each other around the azaleas. Sadie is wet from swimming in the lake. Of course she is. It doesn't mean a thing. A few hours later, when Charlie has finished a cheese sandwich that she shared with the dogs, Coyote coming close enough to take his share from her hand, the dogs are playing again. They roll on their backs next to each other, biting at each other's ears and paws whenever they get close enough. Charlie goes over and sits down next to Sadie, expecting Coyote to leap up and move away. He doesn't. The 2 dogs keep snapping at each other gently, not really trying to connect, and Charlie rubs Sadie's stomach. After a minute, she reaches over Sadie and gingerly lays her hand on Coyote's chest. He looks up at her, and their eyes lock. He has registered this touch, knows it is her hand on his chest. Good dog, she thinks. Holding her breath, she begins to rub. Coyote wriggles in the grass just the way Sadie was doing a moment ago. After a while, he rolls onto his side, away from her. She rubs behind his ears and then runs her hand through the honey gold fur down his back to the base of his tail. His fur is wavy and a little wiry, not as soft as Sadie's. If she had an ointment to put on the cut on his nose, she could do it now. He's so relaxed. His tail thumps on the ground once, twice, and then Sadie jumps up and knocks Charlie sideways. The moment is gone. The 2 dogs take off again, Coyote ducking in among the azaleas to leap out at Sadie as she runs past. Charlie sits there, her hand tingling. She has touched Coyote, petted him. 40 days it has taken her, longer than she could have ever guessed when she got this idea to invite Coyote to live with them. People take this for granted, she thinks, this petting of dogs, as if this is what dogs are for. She has touched Coyote, rubbed his ears, like Jane Goodall grooming a wild chimpanzee for the first time. Charlie knows now how that must have felt, what it must have meant. That's the end of the chapter.